In every family, there are secrets. Some bring wealth. Some bring shame. And some awaken ancient debts that can't be escaped. Tonight, I'll tell you a story from the heart of Yoruba land. A story of courage, truth, and the price of promises made long ago. This is the story of Adebayo, the boy who dared to face the river. A cool breeze swept through the small village of Adebayo as the market women began packing their goods for the evening. The smell of roasted corn and fresh palm wine lingered in the air. Somewhere near the edge of the village, a young man named Adebayo sat under the ancient Iroko tree, staring into the distance. He was the son of Baba Olowo, the wealthiest trader in the village, yet his heart was restless. His father wanted him to take over the family trade, but Adebayo's dreams were different. He wanted to travel, to learn from other towns, to know secrets of the old ways that even the elders whispered about in fear. That evening, as he made his way home, he met Mama Ye, the old woman said to know everything, even things she had no business knowing. She looked up at him with her milky eyes and whispered, "You will leave soon. But the road you seek will not be the one you find." Chills ran down Adebayo's spine, but before he could ask her more, she was gone, swallowed by the dusk. Later that night, during dinner, Baba Olowo announced that in 3 days, a powerful merchant from Oyo would arrive. He expected Adebayo to show his readiness to handle the trade. Adebayo nodded silently, but his heart beat faster. He knew he wouldn't be here in 3 days. The next morning, he visited the river shrine. He offered kola nuts and spoke quietly, "Osun, mother of the river, guide me. If I leave, will I return?" A gentle ripple passed over the surface of the water though no wind blew. From the riverbank, a soft voice answered, not with words, but with a feeling deep in his chest, curiosity, danger, and something else. As he walked back through the bush path, he heard something snap behind him. He turned. Nobody. He kept walking. Another snap. Then a whisper of his name, Adebayo. He froze. A figure stepped out of the shadows. A woman. Dressed in white, barefoot, eyes glowing faintly. She smiled, not kindly, but knowingly. "I have been waiting for you." Adebayo's throat tightened. He wanted to run, but his legs felt heavy. The woman in white moved closer, her step silent on the dry leaves. "I am Marank," she said softly, her voice like water flowing over smooth stones. "I walk between worlds. And you are about to cross." He swallowed hard. "Cross where?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into a small calabash she carried and brought out a single black bead. She handed it to him. "When the moon is full, hold this bead in your right hand and call my name. But know this, not everything you will see is meant for your eyes." Before he could respond, the wind picked up sharply, dust swirling around them. When it cleared, she was gone. The next few days felt like they stretched forever. Baba Olowo noticed Adebayo's restlessness and grew angry. "You will embarrass me in front of the Oyo merchant," he barked. "Stop dreaming and be a man." But Adebayo's heart had already left. He waited patiently for the night of the full moon. Finally, it came. He slipped out of the house and went back to the riverbank, the black bead clutched in his palm. The water shimmered under the moonlight. He took a deep breath. "Marank," he called. At first, nothing. Then the water began to ripple wildly, though there was no wind. From the center, a hand emerged, slender and dark, dripping with river water. Slowly, Marank rose, this time wearing a crown of white cowries. "You called," she said simply. "I am ready," Adebayo replied, though his voice trembled. She nodded. "Then come." She reached out her hand to him. He hesitated only a moment before taking it. Suddenly, the ground beneath him vanished. He felt himself falling, not down, but sideways, into a place where the air hummed with strange sounds. When he landed, he found himself in a dense forest, but it was no forest he had ever known. The trees were taller than any palm tree in Ijibuife, their leaves whispering secrets in a language he couldn't understand. Marank pointed ahead. Walk. As he did, he began to see figures, shadows of people, some with no faces, others with too many eyes. They didn't harm him, but they watched. At the heart of the forest stood a large hut with a red door. Marank's voice was low and serious. Inside is what you seek, but also what you fear. Adebayo's heart pounded. He reached for the door. And then, the red door felt warm under his palm, almost like it had a heartbeat of its own. Adebayo hesitated. He could feel Marank's gaze on his back, but when he turned, she was no longer there. He was alone. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside was darkness, thick, heavy, like wet cloth wrapped around his face. He stepped forward, feeling the ground beneath his feet turn soft, almost muddy. A faint light flickered ahead. He followed it. Then he heard it, whispers. Hundreds of voices, overlapping, speaking in old Yoruba words he barely understood. But one phrase came clear, over and over, Iriti. Iriti. Iriti, hope. The light grew stronger, and soon he saw it came from a small clay lamp placed on a stool. Beside it sat an old man, his back bent, his skin like wrinkled leather, but his eyes were sharp and clear. You should not be here, the old man said without looking up. I was called, Adebayo replied softly. The old man chuckled. Called? Or did you simply wander where you had no business? Adebayo didn't answer. The old man finally looked at him. There is a story your father never told you. Adebayo's heart skipped. Long ago, the old man continued, your family made a promise to the river. Wealth in exchange for service. But the time of service has come, and your father has forgotten. The old man stood slowly and took a folded cloth from the stool. He handed it to Adebayo. When you return home, place this under your pillow. You will dream, and in that dream, you will see the path. But be careful, some paths do not lead back. Before Adebayo could ask more, the room began to spin. He felt himself falling again, weightless. When he opened his eyes, he was back by the riverbank, the first light of dawn breaking on the horizon. The cloth was still in his hand. He hurried home, heart pounding, and hid the cloth under his pillow as instructed. That night, he closed his eyes. And the dream began. He found himself standing in a vast courtyard, with two doors before him, one golden, one made of rough wood. A voice echoed around him, choose. As he stepped forward to choose, a shadow blocked his path. It was Baba Olawo. His father's face was not angry, but afraid. And then Baba Olawo spoke words that chilled his blood. My son, don't open either door. Adebayo froze. The two doors loomed tall before him, one shining like the morning sun, the other dull and cracked like forgotten wood. The courtyard was silent, except for his father's trembling voice echoing again. Don't open either door. But why? He turned to Baba Olawo, but his father's image was already fading like mist. Adebayo felt torn. The golden door promised riches, knowledge, and power. He could feel it in his bones. The wooden door, it whispered of safety, home, and peace. But his father's warning rang louder than the door's temptations. Then, slowly, another door appeared between the two, a small, black door with no handle, no design. Just smooth, black wood. A voice spoke again, softer this time, but clearer. The door you cannot open is the door you must enter. He hesitated. He placed his hand on the small black door. It was cold. But as soon as his palm touched it, the door dissolved into dust, leaving only a narrow path ahead, shrouded in mist. He walked forward, feeling the ground shift beneath his feet. The mist parted slowly, revealing a large compound, familiar, yet strange. It was his village. But everything was different. There were no children playing, no market women singing. The trees were withered, the air heavy. At the center of the village square stood Baba Olowo, bound in chains made of palm fronds. Adebayo ran to him. "Father, what is this?" Baba Olowo's eyes were filled with sorrow. "I broke the promise, my son. And now, they have come for me. But they will not stop there. They will come for you too." A deep rumble shook the ground. From behind the trees, shadowy figures began to emerge, tall, faceless, their heads crowned with cowries. Baba Olowo shouted, "Wake up. Adebayo, wake up before it's too late." A deafening roar filled the air as the shadows closed in. Adebayo gasped and sat up in bed, drenched in sweat. He reached under his pillow. The cloth was gone. He jumped up and ran to his father's room. But Baba Olowo's bed was empty. On the floor was a single cowrie shell, cracked in half. The house was silent. Outside, in the distance, the drums began to beat, slow, deep, ominous. A message. A warning. Or a call. Adebayo's heart pounded as the drums echoed across the village, slow, heavy beats that no one ever ignored. It was the sound they used when something ancient was stirring. He stepped outside. The entire village was awake now, people standing by their doors, fear written on their faces. Elders whispered among themselves. The town crier passed by, his face pale, beating his gong softly, a sign that danger was near but not yet named. Adebayo grabbed his wrapper and made his way toward the village square. At the center, under the ancient Iroko tree, sat the elders, their white beads glowing faintly under the moonlight. In front of them lay a calabash, shattered, with palm oil spilled like blood on the ground. The head elder, Baba Olowo, spoke. "We have been warned." The crowd murmured. He continued, "A promise made by the house of Olowo has been broken. Now the river spirits come to collect." Adebayo felt everyone's eyes turn toward him. Baba Olowo pointed at him with a trembling hand. "Where is your father?" Adebayo's mouth was dry. He tried to speak but couldn't. The drums beat again, this time faster, urgent. Suddenly, the wind picked up, swirling dust and leaves. From the crowd, a figure stepped forward. It was Mama Ye, the old woman whose whispers could stir fear in even the boldest hunter. She fixed her eyes on Adebayo. "You dreamt last night," she said calmly, "but your dream has crossed into waking." She reached into her wrapper and brought out a folded piece of cloth, the same cloth Adebayo had placed under his pillow. "My son," she said softly, "your journey has just begun. If you stay, the curse will fall on the village. If you leave, you may never return." The crowd gasped. Adebayo swallowed hard. "Where do I go?" Mama Ye's eyes glistened. "Go to the sacred forest before dawn. There you will meet the one who can help you if you are brave enough to ask the price." She placed the cloth in his hand. "And remember this," she whispered, "not every guide is a friend, and not every friend will remain by your side." The drums stopped. Silence fell. The crowd parted, making a path for him. Adebayo took a deep breath and stepped forward, alone, toward the sacred forest. As he reached the edge of the trees, he heard it again, that soft whisper in the wind. "I have been waiting for you." Adebayo's breath was shallow, his hands trembling as the god pulsed with heat in his palm. The keeper's hand remained outstretched, vast, steady, and powerful, but Marang's whisper still echoed in his ears. "If you hand it over too soon, you will never wake up." His mind spun. The keeper's voice was ancient, commanding, but too eager. Too certain. Adebayo took a slow step back. The keeper's voice darkened, no longer calm. "Give it to me, boy, or drown in the debt your bloodline created." Suddenly, The black water beneath his feet began to ripple violently. The calm was gone. Waves rose around him, threatening to pull him under. Marang grabbed his arm, her face pale. "Listen carefully," she hissed. "Not every giant is a god. The real keeper will never ask. He will test." Adebayo's eyes widened. The figure before them was not the true keeper. The waves rose higher, and from the churning water, faces appeared, screaming, weeping, calling his name in voices that sounded so much like his father's, his mother's, his little sister's. "Adebayo, help us, give it to him." Tears filled his eyes. He wanted to believe them. But something inside, something small and steady, told him, this is a trap. He turned to Marang. "Where is the real keeper?" She pointed into the mist. "You must walk deeper into the unknown. He waits where fear cannot follow." The water surged. The false keeper roared, its cowrie mass cracking, revealing empty black holes beneath. Long arms of shadow lashed out toward Adebayo. Marang shoved him hard. "Run!" He sprinted, the water solid beneath his feet with each desperate step, though he could feel it growing softer, trying to drag him down. The voices behind him became shrieks of rage. Ahead, the mist parted slowly, revealing a single small canoe, floating on perfectly still water. In it sat an old woman, blindfolded, her skin wrinkled like dried yam peels. Without looking up, she spoke. "You finally arrived, son of Olewo." The water behind him exploded, the shadow beast chasing him was almost upon him. The old woman raised one finger. The water froze. Everything went silent. She turned her blindfolded face toward him. "The god," she said softly. "You carry it." Adebayo nodded, unable to speak. "Good." She reached into her basket and drew out a single white feather. "Place this feather on the god." Adebayo's hands shook as he obeyed. The moment the feather touched the god, the pulsing heat stopped. The god turned cold. And then, it cracked. From inside, no voices came. No shadows. Only silence. The old woman smiled gently. "You have passed the first test." Adebayo swallowed hard. "First test." She nodded. "The real price has not yet been asked." She lifted her blindfold just enough to reveal eyes made of pure silver. And in a voice soft but terrible, she asked, "What are you willing to lose to save your father?" Adebayo's heart tightened. He felt the weight of her question settle deep in his chest. "What are you willing to lose to save your father?" The old woman's silver eyes stared straight into his soul, seeing everything, his fear, his hope, his confusion. I don't know," he whispered. She smiled gently, almost sadly. "Then think carefully. The river never takes more than offered, but it never returns what's given." She tapped the canoe with her staff, and suddenly, the water around them transformed. They were no longer on endless black water, they stood in the courtyard of his family home. The night was still, the air thick with memory. A figure sat by the fire. His father. Baba Olawo looked up, his face younger, full of life and laughter, the man Adebayo remembered from his childhood. "Come, my son," his father said warmly, patting the ground beside him. Adebayo wanted nothing more than to run to him, to sit by that fire and forget everything. But the old woman's voice rang beside him. "Be careful, Adebayo. Not every memory is a gift. Some are traps." His father beckoned again. "You've done well, my son. Come rest. Let me carry the burden now." Adebayo hesitated. The gourd in his hand, though cracked, began to warm again. And then, his father's voice changed. It became softer, darker. "You've done enough, my son, just hand it to me. Let me carry it for you." Adebayo's breath caught. He stepped back. The fire in the courtyard flared, turning green. His father's smile twisted into something hollow. From the shadows around the fire, long fingers began to reach for him again. The old woman's voice roared suddenly. Choose. Adebayo squeezed his eyes shut. I choose, he shouted. I will not trade memories. I will not give the god to lies. The courtyard shattered like glass around him. He found himself back in the canoe. The old woman nodded approvingly. You are stronger than your father. She reached out, her hand cold and gentle, and touched his forehead. In an instant, visions flooded his mind. Baba Olawo, standing at the river's edge, making a secret promise. A golden mask buried beneath the roots of the Iroko tree. A name whispered in the wind, Adebayo. The old woman withdrew her hand. You know where to go, she whispered. Adebayo nodded. He understood now. The real price was not gold, not sacrifice, it was truth. He looked up at the old woman. What happens if I find the mask? Her face darkened. You will uncover why your father ran, and what he was hiding from all of you. She tapped the canoe again. The water swirled, and Adebayo felt himself being pulled, weightless, rising. He woke up in his room, the god gone, the cloth folded neatly on his chest. Outside, the drums beat again, but this time, faster. Urgent. A knock came at his door. He opened it, and standing there was Marank. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. Adebayo, she whispered, breathless. They've taken your mother. Adebayo's heart dropped. What? His voice cracked. Marank grabbed his wrist tightly. The river spirits came at dawn, they didn't find you. Her voice shook. So they took your mother instead. He staggered back, his mind spinning. He could still hear the drums outside, they had changed rhythm, not a warning anymore, but a call. Marank looked at him, her eyes brimming with fear but also something more, urgency. She's still alive, she said. But not for long. They've taken her to the place of the binding, the old grove behind the Iroko tree. Adebayo's breath came in short bursts. The golden mask, he whispered. Marank nodded. It's buried there. That mask holds the secret your father buried. If you find it, you can bargain. But if you fail... She didn't need to finish the sentence. He grabbed his wrapper, tied it tightly, and ran. The village square was in chaos. People gathered, whispering, pointing toward the sacred grove. The elders were on their knees, chanting desperately. Baba Olawo caught sight of him and shouted, Adebayo. You carry your father's sin, but tonight, you can also carry redemption. He pushed through the crowd, Marank running beside him. They reached the edge of the sacred grove, a place forbidden even to hunters. The air was thick with mist and strange whispers. At the center of the grove, beneath the twisted roots of the ancient Iroko, lay a mound of earth that pulsed faintly with light. Adebayo fell to his knees and began digging with his bare hands, the soil cold and heavy. Each handful brought whispers to his ears. You are not ready. Turn back. Your father couldn't face it. Can you? Marank placed her hand on his shoulder. He kept digging. Finally, his fingers touched something hard. He pulled, and the earth gave way, revealing a golden mask, beautiful, terrifying, its eyes empty but glowing faintly. The moment he lifted it, the ground trembled. And then, silence. Behind them, a soft voice spoke. I never wanted you to find it. They both turned. Standing there, in the shadows of the grove, was Baba Olawo. But his face was not the one Adebayo remembered. His eyes glistened like water, his skin pale and thin, as if he'd been living between worlds for too long. I made a deal, Baba Olawo said softly. And now, I must pay. He raised his hand, and the winds howled. A figure began to form beside him, tall, cloaked in shadows, eyes like burning coals. The river spirit had come to collect. Marang gripped Adebayo's hand. "You have the mask," she whispered. "But what price are you willing to pay?" Adebayo's heart pounded. The river spirit stood tall beside his father, a shadow, ancient and cold, its presence bending the air around them. Baba Olawo's face was filled with both shame and sorrow. "I thought I could protect you all," his father said softly. "But the debt is older than me. I borrowed from the river to give our family wealth, land, respect." His eyes met Adebayo's, filled with regret. "But I never knew that the river never forgets." The spirit's voice rumbled like thunder. "The price must be paid." Adebayo clutched the golden mask tightly. He could feel its power vibrating in his hands, whispering secrets of old magic. He stepped forward. "I will pay." Baba Olawo's eyes widened in horror. "No, Adebayo. I made the mistake, I will bear it." The spirit's fiery eyes turned toward Adebayo. "What will you give?" it asked, its voice echoing through the trees, shaking the ground. Adebayo swallowed hard. He looked at his father, then at Marang, then down at the mask. "I offer the mask," he said. And he hesitated. "I offer the truth." The spirit hissed. "Truth?" "Yes." Adebayo's voice steadied. "The truth of what was taken, and what was hidden." He placed the mask on the ground. It began to glow brighter and brighter until it cracked open. From within, images burst out, visions of Baba Olawo standing by the river years ago, taking gold from the water's mouth, whispering false promises. Visions of how he buried the mask to hide his guilt. And then, visions of the spirits waiting, patient, watching the family live in comfort while the debt gathered interest. The spirit turned to Baba Olawo. "You broke the sacred bond, and tried to bury it." Baba Olawo fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "I was foolish." The spirit's gaze returned to Adebayo. "But your son has chosen truth. And truth repays all debts." The winds died down. The spirit extended one long, shadowy hand and touched the mask. It melted into water, running into the earth. Then the spirit turned toward Baba Olawo. "Your punishment has been lifted, by the courage of your blood." Slowly, the shadow began to fade, its form dissolving into mist and light. The forest grew quiet. Baba Olawo reached out to his son. "Adebayo," his voice broke. "I am sorry." Adebayo hugged his father tightly. "It's over." But Marang stepped forward. "No," she said softly. "There's one more thing." They turned to her. "Your mother," she reminded him. A gust of wind blew through the grove, and from behind the Iroko tree, Adebayo's mother appeared, unharmed but weak. She fell into his arms, whispering, "My son, you saved us." They wept together. Baba Olawo placed his hand on Adebayo's shoulder. "You are stronger than I ever was," he said. "And wiser." As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, the golden glow from the mask's resting place faded into the earth, and the forest became still. The curse was broken. The debt was paid. And from that day on, the people of the village would speak of Adebayo, not just as the son of Olawo, but as the boy who faced the river, carried the burden of generations, and returned with truth. And the river never called his name again. And so, Adebayo's courage paid the price that gold never could. The curse was broken, the truth revealed, and peace returned to the village. But remember this, in every whispering river, in every quiet forest, there are deaths still waiting. And sometimes, it takes just one brave soul to face them. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There are many more tales to tell, and I can't wait to share the next one with you.